Yes, sir.
Okay, right, very good. Evaluation of the higher education sector in India. So we'd like to see this maybe about 30 to 45 minutes. What is this higher education and how this higher education started in Indian context? Higher education system plays an important role in the country's overall development. We know very well for any of the country to develop, education is important, higher education is more important. So Indian higher education system is third largest in the world. The role of Indian higher education institutes such as colleges and universities in the present time is to provide quality education, research, etc. to empower the youth for the self-sustainability. We need to have good education system. Coming to the history, what happened to our higher education system? The historical education in India was deep-rooted in religion and Vedic studies, covering wide range of subjects. Like we have grammar, we had mathematics, medicine, astrology, logic, commerce. Many more areas were discussed and studied in the ancient times itself. Buddhist learning was also largely based on Vedic studies, such as Takshila and Nalanda attracted a large number of learners from far places. In fact, now people from various countries also have come to learn and pursue their higher education from this period. And the theme of this higher knowledge and higher education was fashioned in India by the ancient rishis and sages in the Vedic age. So during this Vedic age, so the higher education was taught maybe in terms of Gurukulas. So the early Gurukul system flourished in the Vedic and Upanishad period, but a huge university came up to be set up at Takshila in the 6th century BC, and two other universities like Nalanda and Vikramshila were established in the 4th and 5th centuries AD, respectively. So this is a brief history. How we have Nalanda University, you have Vikramshila University, you have Takshila, and so on. So Vedic period, during this Vedic period, the Gurukuls, ashrams, so they learning in ancient India were located far away from the cities and towns, and the learners lived in and learned with the gurus in ashrams. This is a very usual practice at that time. The parents need to drop their children in the Gurukul, in the ashram at gurus. So the gurus will make them learn during their period, maybe during a specific period, and they need to learn. After some time, the parents will come and ask the guru. Guru says that yes, your son has learned the required things and he may be taken away. So this represents the most ancient culture, the glory and eminence of the Hindu culture. So Vedic age ceases to exist after 600 BC, and it is safer to presume that Vedic age started from unknown time to roughly about up to 600 BC, after which Buddhist age started and last till about 600 AD. So Vedic education was imparted to the students to achieve lofty ideas of life. So coming to the pre-independence period, the British in the year 1857 introduced the system of European higher education in India, and they established the universities at Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras. So English also became the medium of instruction at the higher education level. The British education in India was established with an objective to produce English educated manpower to serve in the large British administration. Why? They established the universities. It is a very well known thing. Like if the people from India are graduated in English language, with English language, naturally they will be able to help the British administration in their day-to-day works. That is the reason, with that intention, they have established the universities at Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras. Post-independence period, if you see, when India became independent, it has only 20 universities and 500 colleges. You can imagine. 1947, the status is we have only 500 colleges, about against 53,000 colleges as of now. So 20 universities were there, which were located in different parts of the country. It enrolled around over a little 1 person per 1,000 population in higher education. 1 per 1,000. This was the enrollment ratio at that time. Okay, so the participation of women was limited, and those who graduated annually were very few in number. In the post-independence period, higher education has expanded fast, and it is mostly public in nature. In developing countries like India, higher education occupies an important place in the nation building process and in economic development. So during this post-independence, the government of India took upon itself the responsibility of its expansion and growth. Education has been considered as one of the very important dominant in our national life. Education held a very important key for the development, progress in every aspect of our existence to eradicate such prevailing systems in the pre-independence era. Many commissions were set up to propose recommendations, to give recommendations, to make the change for the existing education system and so on. So in the year 1948-49, Radhakrishnan Commission on the university was set up. So in the year 1953, University Grant Commission, and later in the year 1964-66, Kothari Commission on Education. Like this, there are several commissions which are given. And the aim of these education commissions is to study the present status and give recommendations to improve the higher education system in India. So the first education commission was during the period 1948 after independence, and it was appointed to examine the education condition in India. This was the basic idea, to study the education condition in India, and to provide the recommendations to improve the ailing situation of education. So this commission was chaired by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. The main recommendations of this commission were finance education sector should be the responsibility of both center as well as state. From then onwards, more or less we have been following the same thing. What we say that education is a concurrent subject. So center also will finance, state government also will finance. Universities should be established with the consent of the central government on the recommendations of the University Grants Commission, UGC. Some other recommendations also are there, like made by the commission, like redefining the goals and standards of education, courses and curricula, and funding of educational institutions, faculty, and their job conditions. Those things were discussed by the Radhakrishnan Commission during 1948-49. So it outlined the goals of the university, like to foster the kind of leadership in all walks of life by helping the individuals developing their potential. So this is one of the main goal of the universities. So to provide the society with competent men and women trained in all professions as cultivated individuals are endowed with the sense of social purpose. So when a graduate is coming out, he must be competent, or she must be competent and trained in all the professions as cultivated individuals. Also, to strive and promote the equality and social justice, and to reduce the social and cultural differences through diffusion of education. So otherwise, you know very well, India with a lot of cultures and different languages, different places, so much of differences are there. So education only should be able to do good justice to bring different cultures together. So to foster in the teachers and students, and through them in the society generally, the attitudes and values needed for developing the good life in the individuals and society. Then to bring the universities closer to the community, extension of knowledge and its application to problem solving. So when a higher learning institute is there, if it functions independently, it is of no use. This was thought of right from 1948. So what is required is that this institution or the university should move close to the society, understand the problems of the society, then try to provide solution there. Based on its recommendations, the University Grants Commission, UGC, was constituted as the apex body of higher education in 1953 by an act of parliament. So this was post-independence 1949. Then NCERT was set up. So this is the National Council of Education Research Training. So it emphasizes mainly on financing of education, particularly in the field of higher education. It stated that educational financing had been a major trouble in improvement of the higher education. It also mentioned that India had not been spending sizable amount on the gross national project on financing of education like other developing countries are doing. So it compared what is the amount that is being spent on education in India as compared to the other developing countries. Indian higher education system is not only large but also the most complex one. So the Kothari Commission 1966. So this commission, Kothari Commission on Education, emphasizes the importance of education in the social and economic development of country. The commission strongly argued in favor of large investment in education. Unless good financing is done to the education, it is not possible to achieve the required goals. This was the idea of the Kothari Commission and recommendation of the Kothari Commission. Also, the commission noted that we should accord the highest priority to education and allocate largest proportion of GNP possible to it. The commission suggested that 6% of the national income should be spent on education. This was the straight recommendation of Kothari Commission during 1966. It was felt that a large investment in education was necessary to ensure equity in educational attainment between different socio-economic groups in the country. Then later during 1986, new education policy has come up. Considering the all-round development of the country, the structure of educational policy was erected. Education is not to be considered within the four walls of the school. This is the prime condition or observation that has been made by the new educational policy 1986. It should not be limited only to classroom. Teaching is not limited to a classroom teaching. Teaching should not be limited to the curriculum, but it is a source of developing the national unity, cultural preservation, and indication of moral, social, and ethical values. Education policy provides a sound basis to the national progress, role of education, national system of education, equality, women education, education of the scheduled caste, education for tribes, education for backward classes, adult education. These are all the main features of this national education policy, National Policy on Education 1986. So this was really very wonderful that they have covered many areas during their observations and recommendations. So this has been revised once again during the year 1992, revised the National Policy of Education. In July 1991, Central Advisory Board of Education appointed a committee on the National Policy of Education under the chairmanship of Janardhan Reddy, the then Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. 6 other educational ministers belong to the major political parties. 8 educationalists were also the members of this committee. The committee reviewed the National Policy on Education 1986, taking into consideration the report of the Acharya Ramurthy Committee, known as the National Policy of Education Review Committee, and other relevant developments since 1986 to 1992. The policy provides a new dimension to education, such as distance education through open universities. This was one good move that was taken up. Like people who are aged, who may not be having the possibility to go to register for their subject and sit in the classroom, they also must be provided opportunity to learn, to acquire the degree. This is what is the distance education and open universities. Indira Gandhi National Open University has been established for this purpose as a center. Similarly, some of the states also have taken up and they started the open universities. Establishment of rural university, technical university, management education and innovation, research and development, organizing the new educational programs, rationalization of educational activities and process, then evaluation system, status of teachers, women education, and creating the means for it are some of the new dimensions which were discussed by this Janardhan Reddy committee. Then 1994, NAC was established. The NAC is an autonomous body established by the UGC, University Grants Commission of India, to assess and accord accreditation to the institutions of higher education in the country. Till such time, universities are established, institutions are established, and they are conducting courses and they are conducting examinations and giving their degrees. Now, after the establishment of NAC, a new dimension has come up. What is that? If a teacher is going to the class, if a teacher is teaching in the class, if the student is listening, how good the institute is in respect of its facilities, in respect of its infrastructure, in respect of its outcome. So this has come up like National Assessment and Accreditation Council, and it is an outcome of the recommendations of this National Policy on Education 1986, which laid the special emphasis on upholding the quality of higher education in India. There are 2 phases. Phase 1 is to provide access to higher education. Second phase is to provide quality education to the public. So to address the issues of quality, the National Policy on Education 1986 and the Plan of Action 1992 advocated the establishment of an independent national accreditation body. Consequently, NAC was established in 1994 with its headquarters at Bengaluru. Then NKC, National Knowledge Commission, 2005. The National Knowledge Commission was constituted in the year 2005 to prepare a blueprint for reforming our knowledge related to the institutions and infrastructure, which would enable India to meet the challenges of the future. This is the main perspective of this NKC 2005. So to take its mandate forward, the Commission focused on 5 key aspects: enhancing the knowledge, strengthening the institutions, then creating world-class environment for creation of knowledge, then promoting the applications of knowledge for sustained and inclusive growth, using the knowledge application in efficient delivery of the public services also. Ishpal Committee has given a report 2009. The committee to advise on renovation and regeneration of the higher education. This is the Ishpal Committee submitted its report during 2009. Given the widespread concerns about the current state of and trends in India's higher education system, the report was very timely. Then we have the National Commission on Research, like 2010. So an act to provide for the determination, coordination, and maintenance of standards and promotion of higher education and research, including the university education, technical and professional education, then other than the agricultural and medical education, and for that purpose to establish the National Commission for Higher Education and Research. An act further to promote the autonomy of higher educational institutions for the free pursuit of knowledge and innovation, and for facilitating the access, inclusion, and opportunities to all, and providing for comprehensive and holistic growth of higher education and research in a competitive global environment through the reforms and renovation, and to provide for an advisory mechanism of eminent peers in academia. This is what is the NCHER 2010. 2012, we have RUSA, Rashtriya Uchatar Shiksha Abhiyan. Based on the recommendations of this Central Advisory Board for the Education and the University Reforms, so a new centrally sponsored scheme known as RUSA, Rashtriya Uchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, during the 12th plan for incentivization of the state governments for improving the higher education. There are several steps which have been indicated in RUSA, and our university also has been a part of this RUSA. The key objectives of RUSA are to improve the access, equity, quality in higher education through planned development of higher education at the state level by creating the academic institutions that are self-reliant in terms of quality management, have a greater inclination towards the research, and provides the students with education that is relevant to them and to the nation as a whole. So, a lot of funds were provided through RUSA to many of the institutions, of course, through the state governments from the center. The primary components of this RUSA include creation of new institutions, expansion of the existing institution. Sometimes a well-performing institution may be converted into university, then infrastructure upgradation, and establishing the bodies such as state higher education councils, accreditation agencies, then sectoral affiliation, academic examination, and so on. So India achieved a gross enrollment ratio of about 18.8% in higher education by 2012 through the expansion schemes under the 11th plan period. So recent higher education surveys have documented 3 aspects. 1, quantitative expansion has not always led to the quality enhancement. Just because more number of seats are created, quality will not come up. This is the first observation or the aspect that has been taken up. Number 2 is employability of engineering graduates ranging between 20% to 10%, and that of arts and science graduates is only 10%. You see here, people are getting graduation, but they're not getting employed. So the yardstick for deciding the quantum of funds for the states and institutions comprise of the norms that reflect the performance in key result areas, like whether they are providing access or not, what is the equity measures that they are taking, really they are excelling or not. Based on this, you need to provide the funding. The recent trends in the higher education is that higher education plays a very important role in imparting the quality education and promoting the economic development of the country. So you have so many number of colleges, so many number of students, so many number of universities, and so on. So at the same time, no, the priorities are changing at the global level from one point to the other point, from one time to the other time. The priorities are changing. Public interest is changing. So we need to look at all these things. And the introduction of cost recovery principles that results in a hike in fees contributes to reduction in the burden of the government in financing the higher education. This was one observation that has been made, stating that you need to make a cost recovery. So whatever is the cost of education must be recovered from the student, The issues in the higher education institutions are like higher education, economic development. These two are interlinked. And the initiatives should be taken in this regard to build such a highly qualified manpower which helps in maintaining the level of growth and development of the country. So it is not only restricted to the bachelor's, masters, it is further includes the vocational, professional qualifications also. So this time, the time is now to modernize our education system so that our country can get much more technically graduated people which can help our country to a developed stage. So, as of 2020, if you look at the present status, we have more number of universities, about 1,000 plus universities are there, and about close to 53,000 colleges are there which are functioning either directly under government or maybe under private or standalone institutions are there. So 1,000 universities with about 53,000 colleges are there. So some of the colleges may be autonomous, some of the colleges may be non-autonomous. However, the degree will be given by the concerned university. So in the backdrop of this, the new education policy 20 proposed by the Kasturi Rangan committee. This is the latest committee, and they also worked very hard to arrive at this. I'd like to provide you the video for a few minutes. Please try to go through this video. Then we'll come back once again for the discussion and concluding this.
Shri Amit Khare ji and Madam Anita Karwal ji, secretaries from the Ministry of HRD. मैं मंत्री जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वो ब्रीफ करना।
आज प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की अध्यक्षता में मंत्रिमंडल की बैठक हुई और 21वें सदी के एक नई शिक्षा नीति को उसमें मंजूरी दी गई। यह बेहद महत्वपूर्ण है क्योंकि 34 साल से शिक्षा नीति में परिवर्तन नहीं हुआ था और इसलिए आज का ये जो परिवर्तन है और जो नई शिक्षा नीति है, मुझे विश्वास है कि पूरा समाज और सभी देशवासी इसका स्वागत करेंगे और दुनिया के शिक्षाविद भी इसको निश्चित रूप से सराहना करेंगे। So friends, as today we have Ramesh Pokhriyal ji also, but I'll request first Secretary, who will do first, Amit Khare ji, he is Secretary of Higher Education, so he'll do a presentation because बहुत सारे मुद्दे हैं और बहुत मुद्दों को ढंग से समझने के लिए एक अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन है, सबको मिलेगा भी और प्रेस रिलीज भी डिटेल्ड है, वो भी मिलेगा।
माननीय मंत्री श्री प्रकाश जावड़ेकर जी, माननीय मंत्री श्री रमेश पोखरियाल निशंक जी, मेरे सहकर्मी सचिव स्कूल शिक्षा एवं साक्षरता अनीता करवल जी, प्रेस एवं मीडिया के सभी बंधुओं, जैसा माननीय मंत्री जी ने बताया, आज ऐतिहासिक दिन है। 34 साल के बाद देश को एक नई शिक्षा नीति मिली है। मैं संक्षिप्त प्रस्तुतिकरण के माध्यम से पुरानी शिक्षा नीति के मुकाबले हम नई शिक्षा नीति में कहाँ हैं, जो बड़े परिवर्तन है वो क्या हो रहे हैं उच्च शिक्षा, स्कूल शिक्षा में, और इसका क्या आउटकम रहेगा, कितने छात्र छात्राएं लाभान्वित होंगे, किस प्रकार से नए स्थान खुले, इस पर एक प्रेजेंटेशन है। सर ज्यादा लंबा नहीं है, इट इज 11 slides. I'll just give you the background that starting with the University Education Commission way back in 1948, there was Secondary Education Commission followed by Kothari Commission. And Kothari Commission was the one which led to the formulation of the National Policy on Education in 1968. Now from 68 to 86, the same policy continued. 86, there was the new policy, the NPE, National Policy on Education 6. उसका संशोधन बहुत सीमित रूप से 1992 में 1992 it was amended, but actually it is the 86 policy which had been continuing till date, that is for last 34 years. सरकार ने दो समितियां बनाई, एक TSR सुब्रमण्यम की समिति जिसने मई 2016 में अपना प्रतिवेदन दिया था, और उसके बाद डॉक्टर के कस्तूरी रंगन जो प्रसिद्ध वैज्ञानिक हैं, इसरो में रह चुके हैं, चेयरमैन थे स्पेस कमीशन के, विभिन्न इंस्टीट्यूट्स के वो चांसलर हैं, बोर्ड ऑफ गवर्नर्स के डायरेक्टर हैं, शिक्षा से उनका जुड़ाव है, और शिक्षक और अन्य स्कूल शिक्षा, उच्च शिक्षा दोनों से जुड़े हुए जो बड़े वैज्ञानिक हैं या एकेडमिक है, उनकी कमेटी बनाएगी। कमेटी के डिटेल अंत में मैं दूंगा, कुछ जानकारी भी उसके बारे में आपको उपलब्ध कराऊंगा। नेक्स्ट, एक महत्वपूर्ण बात यह है कि निर्देश है उसके आलोक में एक व्यापक कंसल्टेशन किया गया। इट हैज बीन वाइडली कंसल्टेड एंड जस्ट टू गिव यू एन आइडिया, थ्रू माईगॉव प्लेटफॉर्म we approached all the 2.5 lakh gram panchayats for their suggestions. Then when the draft committee report of Dr. Kasturi Rangan's draft national education policy was presented, we got it translated into 22 languages. Again, there were widespread consultations. There was education dialogue with honorable members of parliament. There was a special meeting of Central Advisory Board of Education on 21st of September last year. There was also a special meeting, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Human Resources had taken a special meeting on 7th of November. So there has been wide consultation not only with the governments, state governments, with central ministries, state governments, with the academia, कॉमन पीपल, लोगों से राय ली गई कि आप अपनी शिक्षा नीति में क्या देखना चाहते हैं, और इस के आधार पे जो शिक्षा नीति और उसके बड़े रिफॉर्म्स हैं, उसमें उच्च शिक्षा में हम 2035 तक 50% GER ग्रॉस एनरोलमेंट रेशियो तक पहुंचेंगे, और उसके लिए होलिस्टिक एजुकेशन की नई व्यवस्था लाई जा रही है, जिसका सबसे बड़ा अंग है मल्टीपल एंट्री एंड एग्जिट। आज की व्यवस्था में यदि इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ने के बाद या 6 सेमेस्टर पढ़ने के बाद किसी कारणवश मैं आगे नहीं पढ़ सकता हूं, तो मेरे पास कोई उपाय नहीं है, मैं आउट ऑफ द सिस्टम हो जाता हूं। मल्टीपल एंट्री एंड एग्जिट सिस्टम में यह रहेगा कि 1 साल के बाद सर्टिफिकेट, 2 साल के बाद डिप्लोमा, 3 या 4 साल के बाद डिग्री, यानी और मल्टीपल एंट्री थ्रू एकेडमिक बैंक ऑफ क्रेडिट, जो नीचे बुलेट है कि मेरे जो क्रेडिट फर्स्ट ईयर के हैं, सेकेंड ईयर के हैं, जैसे बैंक के सेविंग अकाउंट होते हैं, वैसे ही एकेडमिक क्रेडिट में डिजी लॉकर के माध्यम से हमारे वहां पर क्रेडिट रहेंगे, सो दैट इन द थर्ड ईयर इफ आई वांट टू टेक ए sabbatical for a year, or I want to take a break for any reason, family condition or otherwise for some time, and I return after a fixed period, within a fixed period of which will be prescribed by the new Higher Education Commission, if I come back to the education system, I will not be asked to repeat the first and second year. My credits are already there in the academic credit bank. I will utilize those credits for my further education. इसमें ये भी व्यवस्था रहेगी मल्टीपल एंट्री और एग्जिट में कि जो लोग 4 साल का डिग्री प्रोग्राम करेंगे, जो आगे रिसर्च करना चाहते हैं उनके लिए अलग व्यवस्था 4 साल डिग्री प्रोग्राम, जो नौकरी में जाना चाहते हैं जैसे हम लोग यहाँ पर हैं तो हम लोग 3 साल के डिग्री प्रोग्राम यथावत पूर्व की भांति रहेंगे, लेकिन 4 ईयर डिग्री प्रोग्राम with 1 year MA and direct no MPhil they can go to PhD। एक और व्यवस्था जो इसमें की गई है वो ये है कि ये सारे प्रोग्राम जो होंगे ये मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी होंगे। आज की जो व्यवस्था है, जब मैंने शिक्षा ग्रहण की थी महोदय, कि फिजिक्स ऑनर्स के साथ केमिस्ट्री, मैथमेटिक्स या जूलॉजी, बॉटनी लिया जा सकता है, उसके साथ फैशन डिजाइनिंग नहीं ली जा सकती थी। मल्टीपल डिसिप्लिनरी एजुकेशन की जो हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं उसमें मेजर और माइनर की व्यवस्था होगी। जो मेजर प्रोग्राम जो डिसिप्लिन का, उसके अलावा माइनर प्रोग्राम भी लिए जा सकते हैं। इसका फायदा ये होगा, 2 फायदे इस पूरे सिस्टम के, कि आर्थिक या अन्य कारण से जो लोग ड्रॉप आउट हो जाते हैं वो वापस सिस्टम में आ सकते हैं बिना अपना समय गंवाए हुए। दूसरा कि जो अलग अलग विषयों में रुचि रखते हैं, बहुत से फिजिसिस्ट होते हैं जो कि म्यूजिक में रुचि रखते हैं, लेकिन उसके लिए फॉर्मल उनको कोई व्यवस्था नहीं रहती है। नई व्यवस्था में मेजर और माइनर्स के माध्यम से ये व्यवस्था रहेगी कि व्यक्ति मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी, वेल राउंडेड, अपने इंटरेस्ट के हिसाब से इंजीनियरिंग और म्यूजिक अगर सीखना चाहता है, अगर वहाँ संस्थानों को मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी बनाया जाएगा, यूनिवर्सिटीज को मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी बनाया जाएगा, वहां वो शिक्षा ले सकता है। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। ग्रेडेड ऑटोनॉमी ऑफ ऑटोनोमस कॉलेजेस, ये में से प्राय बहुत लोग अवगत होंगे कि हमारे देश में लगभग 45,000 कॉलेजेस हैं जिनको हम संबद्धता प्राप्त एफिलिएटेड कॉलेजेस कहते हैं। किसी किसी विश्वविद्यालय में तो इनकी संख्या 800 तक पहुंच गई, जिसके कारण न केवल गुणवत्ता में गिरावट आती है बल्कि विश्वविद्यालय परीक्षा केंद्र ही बने रहते हैं, लगातार वहां परीक्षा चलती रहती है। ग्रेडेड ऑटोनॉमी की व्यवस्था ये होगी कि उनके एक्रेडिटेशन स्टेटस के आधार पर A+, A, B, उनको अलग अलग एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव और एकेडमिक ऑटोनॉमी और फाइनेंशियल ऑटोनॉमी कॉलेजेस को दी जाएगी। जो A+ है वो ज्यादा ऑटोनॉमी पाएंगे, A वाले उससे कम, और B ग्रेड में जो रहेंगे उनको कहा जाएगा कि आप अपने आप में सुधार लाएं, तब आपको आगे इसमें व्यवस्था की जाएगी। नेशनल मिशन ऑन मेंटरिंग, जिसमें जो हमारी फैकल्टी है उसके उन्नयन और जो हमारे छात्र हैं उनको अच्छे मेंटर मिले, उनके एलुमनाई से, उनके टीचर से, इसकी व्यवस्था रहेगी। आज के दिन में as of today we have UGC, AICTE and National Council for Teacher Education. There will be single regulator for higher education. एक रेगुलेटर रहेगा जो कि सारे एजुकेशन, हायर एजुकेशन को एक ही रेगुलेटर देखेगा। उसमें अलग अलग एक्रेडिटेशन के लिए, अप्रूवल्स के लिए, फाइनेंसिंग के लिए अलग अलग वर्टिकल रहेंगे, लेकिन एक रेगुलेटर रहेगा और वो रेगुलेटर सेल्फ डिस्क्लोजर बेस्ड, ऑनलाइन सेल्फ डिस्क्लोजर बेस्ड सिस्टम पे काम करेगा। हर चीज के लिए बार बार इंस्पेक्शन टीम बना के भेजने की जो वर्तमान व्यवस्था है उसके जगह सेल्फ डिस्क्लोजर बेस्ड व्यवस्था लाई जाएगी। As on date, we have different norms for deemed universities, for the central universities, for different individual standalone institutions. Their new policy says that for reasons of quality, norms will be same and not as per the ownership. चाहे वो डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी हो या केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालय हो या राज्य विश्वविद्यालय हो, शिक्षा के जो स्टैंडर्ड्स होंगे वो सबके लिए कॉमन होंगे। फी फिक्सेशन पर भी समिति ने जो रिकमेंडेशन की थी उसका विस्तृत उल्लेख पॉलिसी में किया गया है। ब्रॉड रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क के अधीन फी पर कैप रखा जाएगा। पब्लिक और प्राइवेट दोनों और फिलैंथ्रोपिक पार्टनरशिप भी रहेंगी, लेकिन जैसे मैंने कहा फी फिक्सेशन पर के लिए भी इस पॉलिसी था की गई। और जो शुरू से हमारा लक्ष्य रखा है कि जीडीपी का 6% शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में व्यय होना चाहिए। अभी as on date it is around 4.43%, including the state government, center and the state government. We will work together, that is the central government, state governments will work together to achieve 6%. नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन, यूएसए में नेशनल साइंस फाउंडेशन के बारे में आप में से बहुत लोगों ने सुना होगा, उसके बारे में पढ़ा होगा कि वहाँ के रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट होते हैं वो फाउंडेशन एनएसएफ के माध्यम से स्पॉन्सर होते हैं। हमने उसको थोड़ा सा सरकार ने विस्तृत करके नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन, इसमें न केवल साइंस बल्कि सोशल साइंस भी शामिल होगा और ये नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन जो बड़े प्रोजेक्ट हैं उनकी फाइनेंसिंग करेगा। और इससे हम समझते हैं कि शिक्षा के साथ रिसर्च में जो हमको आगे आना है, जो रिसर्च, इनोवेशन, पेटेंटिंग, इसमें हम आगे बढ़ सकेंगे। शिक्षा के अंतर्राष्ट्रीयकरण के बारे में पॉलिसी ने विस्तार से चैप्टर 12 में उल्लेख किया है और उल्लेख ये है कि हम अपने देश के शिक्षा को, कि उच्च शिक्षा को इस स्तर का बनाएंगे कि बाहर के विद्यार्थी हमारे साथ आए और जो एक्सचेंज होते हैं वो देश के उच्च शिक्षण संस्थानों और विदेश के हाई रैंकिंग उच्च शिक्षण संस्थानों के बीच हो। स्टैंड अलोन जो हमारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं उनको मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी बनाने की ओर हम बढ़ेंगे। टेक्नोलॉजी का व्यापक उपयोग ड्राफ्ट पॉलिसी में भी उल्लेखित था। कोविड के कारण पूर्व से ही व्यापक उपयोग होने लगा है। पॉलिसी में लिखा है कि टेक्नोलॉजी का व्यापक उपयोग होगा विथ इक्विटी, यानी हम समावेशी रूप से टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करेंगे, लेकिन इस प्रकार से करेंगे कि जो हमारे साथी पीछे हैं या जो आर्थिक कारणों से जिनके पास डिवाइस या कनेक्टिविटी में रुकावट है, तो हम उनको साथ लेते हुए आगे बढ़ेंगे। नो चाइल्ड शुड बी लेफ्ट बिहाइंड। टेक्नोलॉजी विल बी यूज्ड बट एवरी चाइल्ड विल बी टेकन ऑन बोर्ड। इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम के बारे में जो विस्तार से चर्चा की गई है, लेकिन सभी भाषाओं पर ध्यान देते हुए जो हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं, लैंग्वेज फैकल्टी के रिसर्च जो लैंग्वेज पे होता है, जो क्लासिकल इंस्टीट्यूट है जैसे क्लासिकल तमिल, क्लासिकल तेलुगु, कन्नड़, और जो CIL मैसूर है जिसमें और इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस हैं, उन सब पे ये जोर दिया जाएगा कि जो साइंटिफिक और लिटरेचर है जो अलग अलग भाषाओं का है उसको हम लोग आगे लाएं और ट्रेडिशनल आर्ट्स, जो आर्ट्स यानी कि उसमें क्राफ्ट भी सम्मिलित है, लोक विद्या जिसको हम कह सकते हैं, जो पीछे कई बार हम लोग मॉडर्नाइज होने के लिए आगे बढ़ते हैं लेकिन जो हमारे लोक विद्याएं छूट जाती हैं उनको भी हम आगे ले जाएंगे। और टेक्नोलॉजी का जैसे मैंने आपसे उल्लेख किया, यूज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, इसमें 4 मुख्य हैं। शिक्षा की जो योजना बनेगी, एजुकेशन प्लानिंग, टीचिंग, लर्निंग एंड असेसमेंट, जो समस्याएं आज देखने को आ रही हैं विशेषकर असेसमेंट में, एग्जाम्स के बारे में। टीचिंग, लर्निंग एंड असेसमेंट में हम टेक्नोलॉजी का इस प्रकार उपयोग करेंगे कि सेमेस्टर वाइज, मिड सेमेस्टर वाइज ये टेक्नोलॉजी के उपयोग से 360 डिग्री असेसमेंट होगा। उसका उल्लेख जब स्कूल में आएंगे तो आप हमारे सहकर्मी करेंगी। मैंने पहले भी कहा, एक्सेस टू द डिसएडवांटेज ग्रुप्स, disadvantage could also be due to differently abled persons। उनके बारे में भी विशेष उल्लेख है कि दिव्यांग जनों के लिए टेक्निक का और टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग कर हम कैसे उनको शिक्षा में आगे बढ़ाएंगे। ई कंटेंट इन रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस, कई बार हमारा विशेषकर जो साइंटिफिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस में फोकस पूरी तरह से इंग्लिश पे हो जाता है या कहीं कहीं पे हिंदी पे रहता है, लेकिन जो ई कोर्सेज रहेंगे वो कम से कम 8 भाषाओं में, ये मंत्री जी ने बीच में ही निर्णय लिया है कि देश की जो प्रमुख 8 भाषाएं हैं, तमिल, तेलुगु, कन्नड़, मलयालम, इधर गुजराती, मराठी और उड़िया, बंगाली, तो इनमें हम ई कोर्सेस डेवलप करेंगे। केवल इंग्लिश हिंदी में नहीं, रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस में भी ई कोर्स रहेंगे। वर्चुअल लैब्स पर कार्य आईआईटी मद्रास ने शुरू कर दिया है। बहुत से कॉलेजेस में लैब्स नहीं रहते हैं या स्कूल में लैब की वैसी व्यवस्था नहीं रहती है। आजकल सिमुलेटर टाइप के लैब नई टेक्नोलॉजी में आ गए हैं, उनको ला करके लैब का एक्चुअल फील्ड हैंड ऑन एक्सपीरियंस हम वर्चुअल लैब से कराएंगे। इसके लिए एक नेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी फोरम, कोई अलग से ये ब्यूरोक्रेसी बढ़ाने का नहीं है, लेकिन प्राइवेट सेक्टर, गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर, एजुकेशनिस्ट, टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट, इन सबको एक जगह लाने की यह व्यवस्था होगी। मैं इसके साथ ही अनुरोध करूंगा, स्कूल एजुकेशन के प्रमुख जो रिफॉर्म्स है उस पे सचिव स्कूल शिक्षा बताएंगे।
Thank you. So we have seen the content from the National Educational Policy. So full content also is available. If you are interested, you can go through that. So basically, what are the reforms in NEP 2020 has been very clearly explained. So NEP 2020, unlike other things, so a lot of reforms have come up. You must have seen those reforms. You can go through in detail. Also, this is how the higher education got evolved in India. So I'd like to tell you history and evolution of higher education. So I started from the Vedic period, how we have reached to this level we have seen now. Okay, so thank you. I would like to stop here. I'd like to chat with you with some questions, or you will be unmuted if you'd like to share your feelings. I'll be very happy to listen to you. Anyone may raise the hand. So that our Aruna will unmute you so that we can have a discussion on that. Any hand raise is there, or you can keep it chat. So I'll be happy to go through and discuss.
Hello, sir. One participant is a hand raising. Sir, Naik sir. Hello.
Please.